Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. This week, it's Book Week. I know. The thing is, a lot of people have sent a lot of very nice messages, mainly about me achieving number 700 in the podcast world. That is a lot of podcasts. But I thought what we'd do is we'd celebrate, well, the last Doctor, the Capaldi Doctor, the 13th Doctor, if you will, by talking about the last 4 books to come out under his reign. I'll do one every 2 days, being 4 releases in total. The format will be the same. I'll read you the synopsis, and I'll read you an excerpt from the book. There are 3 in all, 3 novels in all, and one rather special thing. I'll do the novels first, being The Diamond Dogs by Mike Tucker, Plague City by Jonathan Morris, The Shining Man by Cavan Scott, all with Pearl Mackie, Peter Capaldi, and Matt Lucas. So if you've enjoyed this year's TV Doctor Who, and let's face it, we've got an 18-month gap between now and Jodie turning up to take over the keys. Well, you've got some nice books you can experience. So here we go with the first of Book Week. Diamond Dogs by Mike Tucker. For over 15 years, the crew of the Kollo-Zarnista Mining Facility 27 have been extracting diamonds from deep within the atmosphere of Saturn. Diamonds that help fund the ever-expanding human empire. But when a mining operation goes wrong, a rescue mission must be launched to save a worker lost overboard. A worker who claims that he has seen something amongst the swirling clouds, something that can't possibly exist. When the Doctor and Bill arrive, they immediately find themselves caught between hostile miners, suspicious security guards and corrupt company officials as they face accusations of sabotage and diamond theft. And below them, in the crushing atmosphere of the gas giant, something is starting to rise. Now, I'm a huge fan of Mike Tucker. Let's face it, he's an effects man who also writes books. What's more to like? Seriously. He's a better model maker than me and a better author than me, but that's fine. Jealousy will only get you so far. It's a great story, and I'm going to let you hear an excerpt from the first few pages in a moment. The book itself was published on the 20th of April and is a small hardback for $6.99. Absolutely storming and well worth reading. Here's the excerpt. Prologue. The rings of Saturn were a sight that Laura Palmer would never tire of. She'd been 23 when she caught her first glimpse of them, a rookie travelling back from her first off-world assignment. She had been 1 year into her Federation security training, seconded to Military Pacification Battalion to gain what her squad commander had charmingly referred to as nuts-on-the-ground experience that had meant dealing with an Ogron incursion into Federation space. A half-hearted attack on the food supply shuttle delivering grain to Davy Crockett Colony in the Sirius B system. Dealing with it had been so swift and unsophisticated that her fellow recruits seemed to regard it as little more than boisterous recreation. As far as Laura had been concerned, it amounted to a total waste of time and had almost resulted in her dropping out of the security program altogether. It was what happened on the way back to Earth that changed her mind. The convoy that she'd been travelling with had made an unscheduled repair and refuelling stop on Titan. Micrometeorites had punctured the outer casing of the plasma disbursement fins of several ships while they were traversing the Kuiper Belt, and there had been very real danger of catastrophic warp derailment if the damage wasn't dealt with swiftly. When the announcement came from the flight deck that their journey back home was going to be delayed by several hours, Laura could have screamed with frustration. But when her troopship had dropped out of hyperspace around Saturn, a single glance out of the viewport next to her seat had changed her life forever. Laura was familiar with Saturn, of course. She had seen enough documentaries and security training films over the years, but nothing had prepared her for the sheer breathtaking majesty of the planet up close. The gas giant itself had been impressive enough, a vast glowing ball, its surface dimly reflecting the glow of the distant sun, lightning storms crackling and flashing deep in the depths of the monumental cloudscape. But it was the rings that had made her breath catch in the throat. They soared around the planet like wings, huge, ethereal, impossibly vast. It had only been when the other recruits around her had started to laugh and jeer that she realised that her jaw was literally hanging open with awe. 7 hours that had initially seemed like a life sentence of boredom went past in a heartbeat, whilst her crewmates paced the central corridor of the troop carrier, cursing and whining, poking fun and trying to goad her into responding. Laura had sat as if glued to her seat, face pressed to the viewport, watching the kaleidoscopic display of ice crystals and rock tumble and spin with grace and elegance that she had never believed possible. When the repairs were finally complete and the troopship had started to move out of orbit ready to make the warp jump to Earth, the ache of longing that she felt when the rings slid from her view had been almost too much for her to bear. It was at that point she vowed that she would return to Saturn, return and live there. On the 2nd of September 2017, Hooverville 9 will be with us. William Russell, the man who was Ian Chesterton and still is on Big Finish. Carol Ann Ford, Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter. Nicola Bryant, Perry. Toby Haydock, DVD Extras Man and everyone's favourite racist barman. Jessica Martin, Fraser Hines, Jamie. Phil Ford, Michael Pickwood, Philip Hinchcliffe and Matthew Dale are just some of the names who'll be appearing at Hooverville, the biggest little Doctor Who convention ever. Visit hooverville.org to get tickets. See you then. That was the Doctor Who Tin Dog Podcast, available on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, RSS, Vimeo and across the internet. Doctor Who and its associated properties are all copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Why not become a supporter by visiting patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.